What is something that you take for granted every time you think? Maybe it's walking on your own two legs. There are many people in America, whether it's in the army or just people that have gotten injured, that have had their leg amputated and they can't walk on it. My family's been personally affected by this because my cousin was in a really, really dangerous motorcycle accident, and the injuries to her leg were so serious that they had to cut it off, and she lost that ability to walk. But recently, she got a prosthetic leg, and the quality of her life has gotten immensely better. Today, in my speech, I'm going to be talking to you about the history of these prosthetic legs and the different types of prosthetics that can help people like my cousin. So, the thought of prosthetic legs started in the Civil War era, where during battle, doctors would just amputate the legs of soldiers that were shot or injured. But that wasn't really an effective strategy. So, in 1945, the Academy of Sciences established the Committee of Prosthetic Devices, and I found that in Robert Galey's 2007 article in the Journal of Rehabilitation Research. And that is really important because rather than just having like a wheelchair or a peg leg, they would have actual prosthetic legs that they can walk on and improve their quality of life. In the 2014 article on battle injuries in the Symposium of Recent Advances in Amputation Surgery, of all the combat wounded amputees, lower extremity limb loss is the most common, with subgroups of transfemoral and transtibial amputations. So a transfemoral amputation is above the knee, and a transtibial amputation is below the knee, and they have different prosthetic attachments based on their different amputations. Research from the International Conference of Rehabilitation Robotics in June of this year showed that 623,000 Americans are living with lower limb amputations, and that number is expected to double by 2050. So this problem is very serious in America, and with recent advancements in prosthetic technology, it's helping the future of patients. As shown in Nora Dina Arafin's 2014 study for prosthetic foot types in below-knee amputees, the main prosthetics are solid ankle cushion heel, which is the one that looks like a foot, single axis, and energy storage and release prosthetics, which is the one on the left. As Owen Beck stated in his 2017 article on prosthetic stiffness in the Journal of Applied Physiology, the energy storage and release prosthetics were inspired by spring-like action of biological legs, and the carbon fiber prosthetics allow patients to run. So these prosthetics were actually designed after the ligaments and energy storage in the hind legs of cheetahs, so they can compress and bend the carbon fiber to store the energy, and then when they release that, the energy is released, and then the patient can run with his legs, which they can't run with the ones that just look like these prosthetic legs are actually pretty advantageous to runners and Paralympians because they can store that energy and release it in a much more efficient way than as a normal leg. And Matthew Fitzgerald's Zero Handicap article in Running World agrees with this, finding that these prosthetics cause less energy loss, less vertical motion, and less fatigue than a normal leg. So that actually caused some controversy in the 2008 and 2012 Olympics with Paralympian Oscar Pistorius from Australia. If you remember him, he was the runner that had two of those prosthetic legs. And the controversy was that his legs were actually more powerful and more beneficial to running the 400-meter dash than as a normal sprinter would be with his normal legs. But they found that he had no advantage than a normal sprinter because he had less time to be used to the legs than as a sprinter would who was born with their ability. So the future of prosthetics is very promising with robotic legs. Recent powered prosthetics can independently control different joints in the leg, and these are for patients without leg function. So paraplegics who were paralyzed in an injury or a car accident, or people with degenerative diseases such as cerebral palsy who can't walk, can use these prosthetics to finally learn to walk and do everyday tasks. So, in conclusion, prosthetics are used on transtibial and transfemoral amputations, and they started doing this to help with combat wounded soldiers who had to amputate their legs from injuries. The energy storage and release prosthetics are best for running because they can cause more power without using as much energy. And so these prosthetics are important because it allows these people to perform the everyday task of just walking on their own two legs, just like me and you.